Okay, there we go. And here we are live for another Rise Together session. I'm excited for session 7. So for those of you who have been following us or haven't been following us, let's just remind each other of what Rise Together is all about. It's about creating a space to have conversation about what it means to thrive and what it means to leave struggle street in life for good. How to thrive and how to thrive on our own terms. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Sophie. I'm a Vitality Coach, and I'm the founder of the Thrive Guide. And with me today, I have the beautiful Swey, who I would love to introduce. So the beautiful Swey is an intuitive vision and brand, a multi-potentialite entrepreneur and revolutionary force in the creative entrepreneurship space. So this is the cool thing. Swey has a background as an oracle, a psychologist, a mentor, an artist, a musician, and a journalist, right? This is so amazing. So much variety there. And what I really love about Swey is her unique approach to combining energetics, strategy, and design to really activate powerful and iconic brands for multi-potentialites, which is amazing. She's a visionary and she is very inspiring. I know that for sure. So without further ado, welcome Swey to Rise Together.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so incredibly excited for our conversation. Every time we meet, it's like kismet, there's expansion just waiting to happen in the folds of our conversation. So thank you for having me. I'm so excited to go on this mini journey with you.
Yes, me too. And it's we've had the privilege of having a few different sessions together, which has been so beautiful. But I've obviously done a wee intro about you, Swey, but can you share with our viewers a little bit about yourself?
Yes, absolutely. So as Sophie mentioned, I'm a multi-potentialite entrepreneur who is all about activating power-packful, revolutionary, iconic brands for multi-potentialites like myself. And that's where I put on my hat as an intuitive vision and brand architect. Whilst I wear that hat, I am incredibly rooted into my bigger vision of being the representation that I didn't see growing up. I mean, picture a 10-year-old girl being in a class full of kids who were like, yes, I know exactly what I want to be. And when the teacher asked me, like, hey, what do you want to be? And I carried forth all my little kindergarten dreams, all my little preschool dreams saying, I want to be a teacher. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be this. I want to be that. Basically a list of variations of my identity. And I remember 10-year-old me being so lit up in that classroom saying all of these amazingness that I wanted to be. And the teacher saying, yeah, but that's not possible. And all the kids around me laughing. And I felt in that moment this lostness, like, am I different? Am I weird? Am I that wacko that does not have a place, that does not belong in this current society? And whilst everybody around me kind of had that same wavelength of like, you be that one thing, you have that one purpose, you cultivate that one career, throughout my time, ever since then, that conversation that happened in that classroom, I became so determined. I was like, no, I mean, if I feel it, it's real. That was little me, so insistent on, if I feel joy in this, there's no freaking way that it's wrong. And that kind of took me on a trajectory to constantly expand my potentiality, expand my multi-potentiality. And that led me to doing multiple different jobs, go down multiple different career paths. I mean, even my university, when I went into university, I didn't even do just one major. I did double majors with a specialization. So I was pretty adamant, and that led me to do a variant of different things. And my entrepreneurial journey kind of started with me feeling that I wasn't feeling the most joy in my life without being truly connected to these different facets, different dimensions of myself. And that made me feel like I was being kind of boxed in. That led me to being in this feathered, connected space of my source, of my intuition, that hey, I want to create. I want to lead a revolution. Okay, I want to lead a revolution for visionaries who know that there's so much more than a label, so much more than that one career, so much more than that one job, or so much more than what they just do. And I started creating this, I would say, roadmap for myself that kind of, shun. I became the lighthouse around my network where people started to recognize that, hey, we're all freaking multi-potentialites. Some of us are fully aware, tapped into it. Some of us are viewing our multi-potentiality from a different space. And kind of, that kind of created this magic around me where I knew that there's so much power in showing up in the world, whether it was in business, whether it was in relationships, whether it was in life, in any facet. There's so much power in showing up so authentically in the different hats, the different identities that we cultivate throughout life. And it created this force that has become recognized, where I'm known as Jill of all trades, master of most, but it's become this empowerment space within my community where every single person that taps in feels very secure in their multi-potentiality. And I think that has been my biggest vision, being that representation, creating room for that representation. And so, yeah, that's the journey that I'm on. That's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, I love that, Sway, because that is something that I come across in my work as well as with my clients, and this, right? That we're all wearing so many hats, and I love that you brought up the the jack of all trades, and then usually there's that saying of master of none, right? But I call bullshit on that one. But anyways,
Yeah.
I suppose what I would love for you to do is can you explain what multi-potentiality actually means? What does it mean to be a multi-potentialite? And just for the viewers to really understand what that really is, so they maybe can recognize themselves in that.
Yes. So there are many different synonyms or synonymous words to the word multipotentialite. But in a nutshell, multipotentiality, to be a multipotentialite, is to be a multi-passionate individual who has a string of interests, whether you're pursuing them sequentially, all at the same time, or in different periods. And one of the things that I love about multipotentiality is the fact that your multipotentiality is going to look always 100% different to anybody else's multipotentiality. Very often when we think about a multipotentialite or a multi-passionate individual, we think, oh my God, they have a million different interests. And yes, that is the truth. And they could be pursuing that all at the same time, or, a week for one thing, a week for the other, or over periods of time where they're pursuing something for a year or 3 months, and then they move on to the next thing. But then there's also that multi-passionate individual who takes one particular thing and looks at it from a range of perspectives. And the biggest example that I can give is, for example, if you're a gamer, right? If you're a gamer, or let's say a reader, you love reading, but when you're in this passion of pursuing reading, you could be a fan of reading a horror genre or a romance genre, a little bit of smut, or mythology, or things here and there. That is also multi-passionism. That's also multi-potentiality, because you're increasing your intellect from such a different perspective through one interest. So yeah, this is what multi-potentiality means. It's just to be so incredibly unique in the deeply rooted space of all the things that light you up. That could be one thing viewed from multiple different lenses, or multiple different things, again, viewed from multiple different lenses. So yeah.
Yeah, amazing. I love that. And I so recognize myself in there as in terms of my music taste. I've probably loved every different type of music, across my lifetime.
Same.
So yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much for explaining that. And I think that's, I think a lot of us will be able to identify with that, in various different shapes or forms. So my first question of the day for you, or the night for you today, is what's your favorite way of starting the day? How do you like to start the day as a multi-potentialite?
So now in this era of my experience, I'm a mamapreneur. And so my day usually starts with my daughter, her waking up, doing the most craziest things, and kind of giving me this boost that fuels me to want to create a day that's not just magical for me, but for her. And that kind of brings me into the space every freaking day where I feel more intentional than I ever was. Before becoming a mom, I was super intentional. And I thought, you know what? This is the peak of intentionality that I could ever bring into a day. But after being a mother, there is so many deeper levels of intentionality that I have had the pleasure to introduce into my day. Now, my entire week, for an example, I have 3 days off. I cannot do I cannot do 5 weeks a day. I have 3 days completely off. I have one particular day that's just for back end, just for meetings, team meetings. And then the rest of the days are kind of structured in different flows. And how I kind of tune that in into each day is choosing where I want to be centered into. What is that one thing today that I want to be centered into? It could be a thought, it could be an emotion, it could be a particular vision that I have been cultivating for a really long time. I take that, kind of sit with my crystals, my tarot, my human design chart, my gene keys chart, kind of listen to some deep mantras, do a little bit of chanting. I get a little witchy. And that kind of brings me into this flow that allows me to feel rooted in my joy and my vision and my thought. And I take that, create a very intentional breakfast, and I'm very moody where I'm like, oh, okay, you know, I'm feeling this way. I want to have this. And I love bringing myself the element of surprise. Okay, what am I really wanting today? And giving myself a chance to reconnect. So in a nutshell, I love starting my day in a way where I get to rediscover myself in different ways, through my daughter, through my experiences, through my little things here and there.
I love that. So you're starting your day with a little self-adventure. Yeah,
Exactly.
That's cool. And I think that's really amazing that you brought that up because, you know, and especially in the well-being space, right? There's a lot of talk around your morning routine and always doing the same thing. And even though from a logical point of view, that makes a lot of sense, right? But I find for me personally, I actually have multiple morning routines that I swap out depending on how I feel that day or what's on for me that day. And I find that just works the best. And you know, and I love looking at it from the lens of an adventure into self every morning, because that's what it is, right? Every day is different, even if we do go through the motions. So I love that you brought that to light. Thank you.
Yeah.
So my next question to you is, what do you do when life stresses you out? Can you give us a little nugget of wisdom or something that you find really, really helpful? Because let's face it, right? Stress is part of everyday life. Obviously, we try and avoid it, but we can't fully avoid it. So what do you like to do when it does happen?
I love what you said. Stress is a part of life. The way I view stress is a reminder of, oh, I'm going up the burnout hill. What do I want to do when I reach that hill? And for me, the way I look at stress is from a completely different perspective. Number one, I'm neurodiverse. I'm autistic, and I've always been called high functioning throughout my entire life. And on top of that, I'm multipotentialite, where I have multiple different things going on. So stress is a byproduct of my human design, is a byproduct of the experiences that I'm having. And so I truly believe that as humans, the more experiences we have, even in the most ideal world, stress will be a factor that actually provides space for an evolution to happen. And it isn't the biggest factor, but it does play a small role. So for me, when stress comes through, I have a very accepting demeanor towards it, because I know that this is an inevitability that allows me to hit reset in a way that will be the most aligned for me in that moment, or for, you know, the current experience that I'm going through, and take realignment action. So when stress hits me, I love to be in the space of how can I really embrace myself and not give myself shit for reaching this point of stress, because very often very often before I felt like, okay, this is something I really need to embrace, I had a very shitty attitude towards stress. I'm like, you know what, I need to have a stress-free life. I mean, I don't want to have a stressed life. I don't want to be stressed out. But I think the word over time just became very molded into, oh, it's such a negative thing. Whilst it is in the baseline, stress really is a realignment point. Stress gives you the indicator you're about to reach the burnout hill. What do you want to do when you reach the burnout hill? Because burnout is inevitable. And once you decide, I want to do this, because when you reach the burnout hill, you have to decide, like, how do you want to come down? Do you want to come down running? Do you want to take your own sweet time? Do you want to slope down? You get to choose what you do next. But when we don't reach this burnout hill, it's almost like kind of being in that repetition, this zone of like, okay, let's go full in. And as a multi-potentialite, we tend to have these moments a lot. And for me, these moments happen every now and then. So when stress comes in, I first love to embrace myself, give myself a lot of grace, that, hey, it's okay, it's normal. And second, allow myself to look at, okay, I've reached this point, I've reached this inevitability. What do I want to do next? What feels the most realigning for me to do next? So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that reframing. I'm a big fan of reframing, because I think just reframing something and looking at something from a different perspective can be so magical and so empowering. But I love this idea of reframing stress. And, you know, I always look at it as a safety mechanism. It's a message. There is an opportunity for us to discover something. But I love this idea that it becomes what did you call it? Like a turning point, or a realignment point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a point of realignment. And I love that. What is it that you want to do from that point onwards? And I really love that. And I'm so glad that you said give yourself some grace and embrace yourself and give yourself some slack, because, you know, I do think that, especially in the wellbeing industry, I suppose in when we look at the advertising around the wellbeing industry, you know, it's about always be smiling and always have a great day. And yeah, of course, that's what we want. We want to have, ideally, a whole lot of fun and not much stress if we can avoid it.
Yeah.
But there's this idealistic vision that's almost become quite toxic, right? Like that was it that toxic positivity movement that we were seeing over these last few years, where we were telling our kids good vibes only and only sunshine and and it's just not the reality of life. And I think that puts a lot of pressure on ourselves to always portray like we've got it together. And let's face it, like falling apart and having shitty days is part of life. And it's, as you've pointed out so beautifully, it's a necessary part of life to be able to, realign in our ways and go, how do we want to go forward from here? So I really love that you brought that up. And yeah,
absolutely. No, you know what I want to add to, I love that you brought up how it really is this pressure point. And very often the self-care industry or the self-love industry, everything has become industrialized. Let's be real. All of these different fields, they kind of preach this unrealistic playground. Like, oh, you know what? This is going to be fun, blah, blah, blah. And it almost takes away the very humanness of our human experience. I mean, self-care was meant to decompress, to reset, and all these good things. But the way the ideas have been sold, it's around this idea that, you know what, you should do everything to avoid stress. And that in itself creates stress.
Yeah.
like to be so stressed to avoid stress. I have been in that position. Like I am such a worrier. I am such a worrier where I'm like, I worry about, I tend to overthink, and nothing has happened, right? But I'm like,
Yeah.
I used to get into these bubbles of like, oh shit, I'm going to get stressed. So I start stressing right now. It's almost like it's almost a weird cycle of like, oh, let me stress right now over the fact that, oh, I'm gonna get stressed out later. So I really had to say F you to that because it's such bullshit. And when I realized it, I was like having a total laugh, a total meltdown in front of my mirror. I'm like, and this was like over 15, 16 years ago where I just had come out. I just had completed my therapy. And I remember this one particular individual who was in my network was like, you need to have good vibes, love, live, laugh, all of that stuff. And I'm like, I'm all about good vibes. But there was this preaching from this space of, you should have a stress-free life. That means when you have a stress-free life, that means you're truly happy. That means you're truly joyous. That means all of that. And now as a mom, I'm like, it's so unrealistic. Even when I wasn't a mom, it's so unrealistic because there are too many things out of our control. That's the beauty of life, right? We don't get to choose entirely how our path or our life really looks like. And those factors that kind of play in the shadows or the forefront, we can't do anything about it. And if that brings stress our way, I mean, again, we can't do anything about it. So I find it funny that, the self-care industry always like puts this good vibes only. And you're so focused on having good vibes and you're so stressed out. Oh my God, if I don't have good vibes, I'm going to get stressed out. So you get stressed about that. I just find that hilarious. I had to bring that up.
Yeah, I know, right? And that's the thing is, once you've stepped back from that and you've realized that for yourself, you can laugh about it, right? But when you're in it, it feels very serious, and it's like the experience of it is not fun. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And I think it's so good to be able to laugh about these things because us humans, we're funky beings. We do funky stuff. Like we really do. And when you can start seeing it from an observer perspective and see the funny and the ironic side in it, then I find it personally for me a lot easier to deal with because it really lowers the stakes in terms of what you're dealing with it. So I really love that you brought that up. So I suppose this brings me to my next question. What's your superpower, Sway? What's the one thing that makes you uniquely you? I know there's a lot of things that makes you unique, but what's your superpower? If you have to pick it.
Oh, that question is such a wormhole. It's just like a hit of
especially for you, isn't it?
Oh my God. I my superpower is me, girl. I feel like whenever this question gets asked, because I get asked this almost at every seminar, every workshop, and I love it because it brings me back to this grounded feeling of it's not an external thing. My superpower is really me. The fact that I am designed the way I'm designed, the fact that I get to evolve the way that I've evolved over the past few years, my evolution that's going to look like in the next few years, the next coming months. I love that I am me. I love that I get to channel all of me into the world that I'm doing. So I feel like my biggest superpower is the very fact that I'm me and the fact that I have tapped into me. Because there was a time where I wasn't tapped into me. There was a time where I was a little like, I want to move away from the fact that I'm multipotentialite. Let me try to fit into the mold in some way. It didn't last long. I promise you. It was like a few months. It was a few months, but it was tough few months. Okay. It was a tough few months. And so yeah, my superpower is me, and my superpower is being able to channel me in the most authentic, raw, meaningful, impactful way.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you say your superpower is you. So I suppose that having your, you as your superpower and just your essence, that must really help you in being able to tickle out the essence of other people, especially when it comes to branding, right?
Of course. I mean, one of the things that I love bringing forth is, number one, because I'm Jill of all trades and master of most, I kind of know everything. Literally, it's the weirdest thing. Because of my multipotentiality, I have gone down rabbit holes that didn't feel like rabbit holes at that time. But now when I reflect back on those things where I picked up something here and I'm like, oh, right, this is what this is. Like now, if someone asked me about politics before, a long time ago, I was like, I'm anti-politics. I don't know anything about what's happening in the world. But I've become so ingrained with my intuition, with my source, with everything that I'm about. If there's someone who talks about anything that's happening in the world, I'm able to be a part of that conversation without really knowing anything, because I am being myself and I'm sharing my thoughts. And it's just so beautifully kind of complements the conversation around the particular topic. And it doesn't just have to be politics. Like literally the other day, I was on a Connect call and this person was talking about a call center. What do I know about call centers? I tell you, I know nothing. I've never had the opportunity of knowing how a call center runs or whatever, but I was able to carry a beautiful conversation because of the very fact that I'm so well-rounded. My intellect has expanded so much because of my multipotentiality. And I think a lot of multi-passionate individuals can attest to this. You just get to be in a space of knowing, exploring, learning, and discovering new things that just become a part of you. So in terms of branding, one of my being me, my superpower being me, I am also a psychologist. I wear the hat of a psychologist. I wear a hat of a 7th generation bloodline oracle. And I also wear the hat of someone who's been in the visual directing brand strategy field for a really long time. And the unique flavor that I get to bring into the aspect of branding is really showing these aspiring visionaries who want to go from, hey, I don't want to just be an entrepreneur. I want to be a visionary. I want to be seen for all of my amazingness, is to actually activate the core of their business, which is their brand. So the way I do branding is completely different. And I say this with so much confidence because I've not seen anyone do it the way I'm doing it. And I spent a lot of time speaking to a lot of branding people, a lot of people who are in the field of branding or in the field of activation work or energy work. And I just know that this is something that I was looking for 10 years ago. I was like, I wish I had this one-stop shop where, you check out my energetics. You also tell me like, how can I run my business in the way that feels good to me, strategies that feel good to me, but also leverage it in a way that isn't going to overwhelm me with the back end stuff. How can I do it through my brand? How can I do it with the things that make me feel good? How can I do it through me showing up, through my visibility? So it kind of goes back to the fact that I wanted to be the representation that I didn't see for a really long time. So given the fact that I have all these different hats, I have this mini superpower of being able to really look into the windows of potential of every single individual that I come through, especially with my being a 7th generation bloodline oracle, with the wearer of a psychologist hat. I'm able to really look into every person's essence and see what would be the best potent path that they can take that will allow them to expand their multipotency while spreading their vision, spreading their mission in the most authentic, aligned manner for themselves. So
I love that. I love that word potency that you used in there, because that's what it really is. I think for me, about in business in general, however we choose to do business, whether we're employees, whether we work for someone, we run our own business, doesn't matter, but how potent are we being in the role that we're in? And potent as in, not that we're trying to kill other people, potent as in how effective and bright and influential we can be with our ideas and our skills and what we bring forth. So I love that. So I suppose this is always this next question is always a really interesting one, because what I found is that everybody once used to believe something about themselves that they later on realized wasn't true. So what did you once believe about yourself that stopped you from feeling good about who you are, and that stopped you from expressing that potency of yours?
Oh, there are two things that I still reflect back on a lot till this date. One, that I was too much. And the second, that my wisdom is not valid.
Yeah.
To speak to the first one, being too much, being someone who's a multi-potentialite with so many different interests, I've heard in so many different capacities ever since I was young that, oh, Sway, you're doing too much, or you are know-it-all, aren't you? Or or being in relationships where there was a level of, and this is obviously after so much realization, where the partner that I was with or a friendship that I was with just felt inadequate in my presence and made me feel in turn that, hey, you're too much. You're too much for me. And at that time, there was a level of naiveness, thinking that, oh, I have to fix myself. I need to tone down my volume. I need to tone down on my multipotency to be able to fit into these relationships, to be able to be a part of these conversations. But obviously today I'm like, yes, I am. Literally my gene keys and my human design is like, you are a know-it-all, please embrace it. And I'm like, thank you for the literally, like, my gene keys, the first sphere itself is like omniscience, which is like to know all, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. I guess that's just me. I am a know-it-all. And speaking to the very fact that that was a narrative before, I'm in a loving, long-term, beautiful relationship with my husband who thrives when I thrive, who loves seeing me in the spotlight, who loves it when I'm a know-it-all. He literally, we would go to a gathering, and we'd come back home and he'd be like, babe, you really rocked those conversations. Oh my God, one person was talking about this and the other person was talking about this. And I'm like, and I feel so good. I feel so held, so embraced, that he is seeing me for all of me. So that's been one narrative that was there. I used to believe that I was too much. And now I'm like, nope, this is all my glory. Come have a taste if you dare. If not, I mean, hey, one day you might come to that hill. But the second one is was the fact that I really believed that my wisdom was something that needed to be validated, was invalid, because a lot of things came easy to me as a multi-potentialite. As a kid, I was a straight A student. I used to do things that were really easy to me. I was juggling being president while also being in a rock band, while also being going on art exhibitions, while also doing like multiple different things. And I remember things that came super easy to me were never celebrated, were never told like, hey, this is good job, But instead, especially from my parents, because I came from a very dysfunctional family, my parents would be like, oh, anyone could do that, Sway. And so little me was like, oh, okay. And then if I found something hot, like numbers, maths till date, I mean, thank God I have an accountant, otherwise I would be lost. But maths was one of the most difficult subjects that I remember. When I would just feel so frustrated not understanding those equations. And my parents and the adults around me would be like, no, you need to work on this. You need to make sure you get good at this. And my little mind would be like, I don't get it, And I wish someone told me, like, it's fine. If things come hard to you, that's maybe something that you're not aligned for. And you don't need to be put down for that. So over the years, when I excelled in things, my parents, not just my parents, but almost every adult in my life made me feel like, oh, that's easy. Anyone could do that. And so I kind of lived most of my childhood thinking that my genius was nothing, right?
Mm.
Fast forward to being pushed into adulthood. I left home when I was 15. It was the most important decision I made in my life because I couldn't. There were these two voices. One voice was like, I see you for all that you are. No, we deserve more, these little voices in my head. And then the narratives outside that were telling me, no, whatever you're doing, whatever you're good at is easy. Anyone could do it. You can't make money on this, or you can't succeed on the things that you find easy. And after leaving home and being in an environment, challenging environments, but environments that really allowed me to accept, because that's what was missing, the acceptance that, holy shit, everything that comes easy to me doesn't work like that for anyone else out there.
Yeah.
And that makes me special in my own way, at least for me. And so moving away from that narrative was big. Even today, till date, sometimes when I'm launching something new or I create a new product or venture a new business, I do have moments where I hear those voices like, oh, you have this idea? Maybe like 10 other people have this idea. I mean, how could you do it better? I mean, this could be a piece of cake for anyone. And then I go into like this little Swey who's like, okay, hearing those narratives. And then the next day I have investor calls. I go into those and the investor's like, wow, Swey, we never heard of, okay, how much do you need? Or what do you need for this? What do you need for that? And I'm like, there's so much assurance that it's almost like the universe reminding me and my younger self reminding me in so many different ways, like, we're worth it. Our wisdom is gold and that cannot be replaced. So those are the two narratives. And, work in progress
Yeah.
through and through.
Definitely, right. Thank you so much for sharing that. And there's always those layers as we work through those things, because the too much, I think, as women in particular, I've been told I've been too much, or too bold, too bright, too this, too that. And that's it's tough to see, especially as a parent myself. It's tough to see how sometimes we as adults say things to kids that are actually quite damaging, not realizing that we are damaging or that we are hurting them. And that's not in the best interest, not just of our kid, but I think as us as a parent. I'm working with a parenting coach at the moment, so that's quite an interesting journey, to be able to see as a parent. Even how just tiny little things can, obviously in your story, those weren't tiny little things. They were, I suppose that was quite hard for you. But just big or small, it can really affect our kids now, but their ability to shine and to be able to open up and show themselves to the world. And, I think as a business owner, for me, it doesn't matter if somebody runs the exact same business as you. They're not you. That person's going to be doing it with a different flavor. Like your special sauce, Sway, my special sauce. Everybody has a special sauce that nobody can duplicate. And there's certain people that are going to be attracted to you and certain people that aren't. So, I think that's beautiful. Beautiful way to answer that question. Thank you. And for your openness about all of that too, because I'm sure it's for a while it wasn't easy to talk about that stuff. So I really appreciate that.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, I love sharing bits and pieces of my story. My biggest mission is for anyone who's tuning in any space that I go in, is that they feel seen. I like I said, especially for me, when you said, as women, we get told that we're too much. And I'm a multiracial woman. I have a bit of brownness in me and I have a bit of whiteness in me. And it's been a black and white world when I grew up where, oh, is it supposed to be this way? Is it supposed to be that way? And for me now, I also have a multiracial child. My husband's also multiracial. So we've concocted like this multiracial baby that comes from, like, she has like 7 different cultures behind her. But every day that I'm with my daughter, I remember the first month of postpartum was freaking hard. Everybody knows that. Every mom has experienced that in some level. And so for me, in my first month, I remember telling myself and feeling so fiercely like there's no way I would, if I feel so much hurt, like all that little me felt, and I'm so close to little me till date. I do everything to feel the most closest to the 10-year-old me, 15-year-old me, because those parts of myself didn't feel seen. And so when I see my daughter and I'm like, there's no way, if I felt all of that, I'm going to do everything I can so she feels seen, so she feels heard, so she does not get, automatically nothing translates to her like you're too much or you shine too bright, right? And she's got this little thing now, which is adorable. Whenever we tell her no, she's understood the word so well that every time we tell her no, she's like, like she's about to burst into like a massive tear run.
Yeah.
And one of the things that my husband and I would notice and we cultivate a lot is not that we have any ownership, but we make room for her to express from this age so that whatever memories, because I myself, I don't remember a lot of things. I didn't remember a lot of things growing up. And as I get older, I reconnect. There's so much awareness now, right? In my brain, I'm using more of my brain power. I've activated more of my brain, and memories from my youngest time comes back. And to recognize the power it holds to bring awareness to like that one memory or one moment, it's a lot. And so cultivating that safe space for children, like you said, and I love that you're doing, you're working with the parenting coach. I mean, I'm definitely like, I actually, right after the first month, I also worked with a parenting coach, but from a human design perspective, because I was like, okay, how can I leverage this? I'm so into this space. How can I leverage this to really understand my daughter? And it's been just so beautiful to bring that awareness and make sure that those narratives don't repeat for her.
Yeah.
And I think we're doing our bit to just make sure that the next generation creates an even more evolutionary, beautiful world.
Yes, definitely. And I think that the quintessence is really in that, not repeating the cycles. I think we can't change our cycle. We can't change what has happened to us, but we can change what we take forward with us. And that's it. That's a really beautiful way of looking at it. So I suppose maybe we have the answer for this question already, but who inspires you? Who inspires you and why?
Well, first of all, my daughter, she inspires me highly. But other than her, myself, can I even say that?
Of course you can.
For a really long time, I genuinely thought that I needed to look up to someone or many different someones to feel validated, but I have not seen a representation that I felt really aligned with in a really long time. I mean, there aren't a lot of multicultural, multiracial people who are kind of, navigating a landscape for pure authenticity to flow. I mean, we're kind of getting into that era now. But the person that inspires me the most is younger me. Younger me was, she was feisty, she was fiery, she knew what she was doing. I mean, it is thanks to her. It is thanks to 15-year-old me who decided to prioritize herself. I still feel so much in awe for the decision that 15-year-old me took. Like she had balls, man. She had balls to do what she did. And I owe so much of my success to her. I wouldn't be doing any of what I'm doing if it weren't for her to take that decision. So my younger self in so many different variances inspires me all the time. And I see so much of myself in my daughter. So she inspires me inevitably in that. And I also feel very inspired by my husband. he is such a secure masculine. And I, as someone who is, you know, in the essence of omniscience and kind of Jill of all trades, master of most, I always knew that I had to be with someone, or, you know, share my life with someone or people who could understand the frequency of what it's like to sometimes take the back seat and play that support role, because I knew that I needed that as a foundation for me to thrive in any environment. So I'm really inspired by my husband. I mean, the man, he wakes up, he gets my coffee ready, he makes sure I have everything. I have a snack next to me if my blood pressure drops. He makes sure that, you know, if I have a heavy day of back-to-back calls, he's like, okay, what do you need? And sometimes he doesn't even ask me, what do I need? He's just has shit ready. He is so more than willing to, you know, take care of our daughter on days that, or during times that, oh, suddenly something pops up to me. He prioritizes my energy in such a big way. It's inspiring, because that inspires me to want to be a better human, want to be a better wife, want to be a better mother, partner in so many different ways. So yeah, these three people in their different variances inspire me a lot.
I love that. I love that. Thank you. And that's definitely a first. Nobody said that they're inspired by themselves, but I feel like I want to say, so we should. So we should. And, you know, I think we all as individuals have an incredible amount of resilience. And we have done incredible things, but we don't give ourselves the credit for it. We don't celebrate ourselves for it because it's too much or not good enough or whatever the flavor of it is. So I love that you are, you know, taking the lead on this one. And I'm hoping that this is really resonating with a lot of our viewers tonight. And I suppose this brings me to the last question. So considering you left home with 15 and the version of you that you were then, but what is the advice that you would give to your 16-year-old self from the future?
Oh boy. 16-year-old self me was angsty, very angry at the world. This was the period where I had this moment of revelations after revelations, really honing in, because I was completely alone in that space. I had finally left a family that was kind of my safety net, you know, materialistically, physically, and emotionally in different ways. And so 16-year-old me was angsty. She was a firecracker. Nobody could speak to her in any way unless it felt comfortable and safe. And she had such strong boundaries. So I feel like one of the things that I would tell my 16-year-old self, and a piece of advice, is it's all going to be okay. You know, you won't feel angry forever. And the day you realize what the anger really means, you'll be able to transmute it into something beautiful. Till date, whenever I get angry about something, it's always been a beautiful recognizing or awareness or rediscovery point for me. My anger, I had so much shame around my anger before. Like, why am I angry? Right? Why do I get pissed off so much?
Yeah.
But today I don't hold that shame. I get angry. I am human. I feel my range of emotions, and they sometimes come out as anger, and that anger comes from a deep place of hurt, or, you know, recognizing an unalignment. So when today I get angry, I'm reminded a lot of my 16-year-old self, and I wish she had this experience that I have today, where she's able to hold space for that anger and actually transmute it instead of feeling so locked up in it and taking decisions from that space. So yeah, I would say it's all going to be okay. One day that anger is going to be your best friend, and a good one, and a healthy best friend, I promise. And you'll be able to transmute it into something glorious.
Beautiful. What a beautiful way to end this session. Oh, thank you so much for being on here, Swey, and for sharing your wisdom and your points of view. And you know, that there's such freshness and what you talk about, and you know, and living a bold and authentic and a true life, and making sure that what is on the inside matches our outside.
Thank you so
in
much
a world where we're so consumed with just making sure that the outside looks good to everybody else, right? So yeah, thank you so much for sharing all of that, and again for being so open and raw and vulnerable, you know, with your story, because I think it takes a lot of guts to do that and to be open and honest about those kind of things, and to really show that, hey, my life isn't perfect. It wasn't perfect. It's never going to be perfect, but it's my life, and it's awesome. And it's awesome that way. And really seeing all the parts of it, you know, whether they feel good or not good, as an adventure and as a part of our life as such. So my question, actually, I do have a last question. My last question is, is there anything else? Because I'm full of questions. I was that kid that would always raise her hands in class and would make class run over, and then be going, Sophie, stop asking questions. But no, I have one more. I have one more. Is there anything else that you want to say to our viewers before we go? Anything, any wisdom or anything that you want to share with them?
First of all, I want to say thank you so much for facilitating this conversation. It's been so beautiful. And I always love having an expansive space to just play with each other's energies and bring forth whatever needs to come forth. But in terms of a last bit of wisdom before we wrap up is embrace the chaos. When you embrace the chaos, you are fucking unstoppable. I tell you that. The parts of your life, the parts of yourself, the parts of anything that you're venturing that feels chaotic, embrace it, because the only thing in life that is going to be constant is change. You will change. People around you will change. Your situation will change. Everything is subject to change. When you can adapt to that, your evolution peaks in a way like never before, because you have become so in tune with the changes that you can expect when your evolution is going to come. And when you can see that coming, my goodness, you're going to feel the excitement for that download of that evolution. Many times when we're about to evolve, there's a level of scarcity. You can negate that scarcity by being in the space of excitement, by being in the space of, which is the reflection of fear. The other side, coin side of fear is excitement, pure excitement of the unknown. But if you can see that unknown coming, knowing that it's your next evolution, how amazing would that be? So yeah, that would be my last piece of advice. Embrace the chaos and you become unstoppable.
I love that. That's getting me excited. It's getting me very excited in my little chair here at 9 o'clock at night. And thank you again. Thank you so much for being here tonight, for sharing your wisdom, and for connecting with me again. It's always a pleasure. Mwah. And I'm sending you lots of love from New Zealand, and you from Armenia, right?
Yeah.
Am I getting this right? Yeah,
Yeah.
so cool, isn't it? And to our viewers, thank you for being here tonight, or for you guys who are on the replay as well. I'm going to be popping all the info for Swey on how to get in touch with her and how to continue watching her journey. I'll put all that in the show notes, I suppose I should say, in the little post. And if you have any questions, please just get in touch or pop them in the comments, and we'll interact with you from there. Cool. I'm sending you lots of love. Have a beautiful rest of your day, gorgeous lady. And
you too. Bye.
Bye.